Hi guys. This is going to be my review topic, more or less, for the semester. We're about 8 weeks in, and we've learned a lot about the adult student and the different learning styles and the different things that affect them. This is going to be more from my perspective as a adult student service provider, whether it be admissions, advising, recruiting, financial aid, all that fun stuff. The adult student population creates a dilemma. And so this is going to be my experience with the adult student dilemma, the challenges of serving adult students. The first challenge with serving adult students is defining the adult student population. Answers vary by governing bodies and institutions. They're defined differently, they're looked at differently, they're classified in different places and served by different offices on campus. But generally, your traditional college student, as you all know, is generally about the ages of 17 to 24. Um, you can start college at 17, you can start college at 19. If you take 5 years, you're still 24. Like, generally, no traditional college student, meaning somebody that goes directly from high school to college, is going to be outside the ages of 19 to 24. Now, adult students. Most schools define adult students as a student who either didn't go to college right after high school, or who went to college right after high school and did not finish their degree and are now coming back. They are over the age of 24, so 25 and up. They are generally going back to school to change their career and get a better job, get promoted at work. Like, there's a purpose, a specific defined purpose for them going to school. And I think for my purposes, I put here a student who is pursuing a degree or continuing education credits while also working a full-time job and raising a family. That doesn't obviously meet every definition of adult student, but at the end of the day, that is what we're talking about when we talk about adult students. Now, here is the dilemma. You have a traditional adult students, or traditional students, not traditional adult students, traditional students, ages 17 to 24. Adult students are now ages 25 to question mark. When I worked at NAU, I had a guy who was 81 who we put into classes. And schools started addressing the adult student population in the late 70s, early 80s. It was back when you started to see economic recession after several decades of prosperity. Women were going back to school. People who had worked labor-intensive jobs were going back to school. That's when the need for night classes and weekend classes and distant learning became popular and important because there was a need for it. Adult students all have different lives, different needs. You know, you can't classify someone over the age of 25 to 70. They're all going to work different shifts. They're all going to work different jobs. You can have somebody, you can make all of these weekend and evening classes, but if your prospective student works second shift, or like my husband works a weird schedule of 2 on, 3 off, 2 on, he can't, and he works weekends. I mean, at least every other weekend, that 2 on, 2 on, 3 off, whatever it is, does fall onto weekends. And so that cuts out that whole population. When I worked at Newman, they opened it up to, well, we don't know, we're going to open up all programs to adult students. We're just going to charge them half the tuition, because we were told by someone that we needed, even though Newman was never really an adult student school, never wanted to be, still doesn't want to be, we were told we had to serve that population. And at the end of the day, students probably can't go during the day unless they're mothers who have children in school who aren't working. Um, and so this is kind of what brought about distance learning. Distance learning used to be you got mailed information, you read that information, you got mailed a test, you mailed that test back in, and that was that was distance learning. And now students or schools are trying to do better for those kinds of students. This population is overlooked by administrators. It's never at the forefront of any major schools, at least traditional college. Like their problems are generally, they're not a recruitment goal. They kind of get whatever the university can throw at them, whatever's left over, from what I've noticed, unless you're a school like National American University or some of these online for-profit schools, which some are great, some are not. So if you ever want to apply at one, you can talk to me, talk to anybody. I would not rely on the internet for guidance on that, because some are great, some are not. And I worked at NAU. It was not, like I told you, we talked an 81-year, I mean, it was my job to talk an 81-year-old man into taking out student loans so that he could go back to school and learn computer skills. Like, he wasn't just going back for computer skills. He was pursuing a degree. A degree to do what? No one's going to hire him at 81 to work in an office. There's a chance, but at the end of the day, it's thousands of dollars in financial aid that goes to nothing. I'm sorry if that offends you or upsets you, but I personally believe that there's a difference between adult students who are pursuing a degree and older people who have retired who just want something to do with their life. And to me, that's a huge part of the dilemma, is most places group those people together, and that's not fair. It's not fair at all, which also brings up another issue. Not every adult student will have the same technological advances. Obviously, someone who's 27, who's maybe worked out at retail places or any place really, probably has some technological skills. They've probably used a computer, they probably use Word, Outlook, Excel, PowerPoint. They've probably all messed with that at some point. There's no guarantee that older people are going to have that background. Someone who's 42 may not know that. I'm surprised every day. I'm 35. I'm surprised every day by people my age and by students who don't really know the ins and outs of Word, don't know the ins and outs of PowerPoint and using Excel and even Outlook, general internet stuff, PDFs. It blows my mind that there are still people out there that don't use that in their everyday lives. And that's a challenge. I think I have something here called Big Promises, Little Support. You will find schools that, like Newman, we'll give you half off and we'll do this and we'll do that. But at the end of the day, we don't have advisors that can sit and walk people through the technological side of things. NAU promised advisors that would sit and walk by you step by step. But what we found was most people don't want that kind of attention. And it was part of my job to call everybody who wasn't doing well or hadn't logged in to their online class for a while and offer support. And my calls just went unanswered most of the time. So there's a lot of things that are against the adult student from the get-go. They're either forced to go to a school, a bigger school, not even a bigger school, I would just say a four-year college that promises them things but doesn't have the support to back them up, or they can choose a for-profit school who probably does have this support. But at the end of the day, it's online, it's distance, it's not good for people who aren't used to online classes. And at the end of the day, and I say that a lot, and I find myself saying at the end of the day a lot, and so I'm really, really sorry for that. But there are 4 generations of adult students on campus. Gen Z really technically still meets the traditional college student, but you have millennials, baby boomers, or millennials, Gen X, and baby boomers. And there even may be some in the GI generation before that are still enrolled, still on campus. And so it's trying to find ways to serve completely different groups of people. Also throwing into adult students. So if I go back to my last definition on the other slide, I said adult students are students who are going to school full-time while working full-time and or trying to raise a family. Take the undergraduate definition out of that. What does that sound like? Graduate students. We're graduate students, and most of us have full-time jobs and families that we're not just here for college, and we're generally going to grad school to get a promotion, get a better job, change careers. We're very, very similar. And unfortunately, I feel like most schools are just a little bit behind in recognizing the challenges faced by adult and graduate students. Friends University actually lumps them together. It's called, I believe it's called their CAPS program. Basically, it groups graduate studies and adult studies in the same office. They're recruited by the same people, and that's how I think it should be handled. You're recruiting to the same people with the same needs. Whether they have a bachelor's degree or not, they're still adults who are working full-time, who have families, who have all kinds of other stuff going on, but are still trying to cram school into their lives so that they can progress. And for me, that's why I'm in grad school. And that's why I tailor the courses the way I tailor them. I've tried to do meetings where everybody, we can all meet in person and talk, and attendance has always been terrible. If I make it mandatory, I usually get people. If I don't make it mandatory, last semester I had 12 people 12 out of 40 for the first one, 6 out of 40 for the second one, and 2 out of 40 for the third one. And that's why I didn't do them this year, because I don't want to make them mandatory, because graduate students, like the whole point of an online class is being able to do it when you want to. That's why I chose the program I chose when I went to get my doctorate. And that's what I love about it. I get to choose when I do what I do. I don't have somebody dictating my time outside of due dates and things like that. And so, not everybody loves that, but that's what I have found most grad students, while maybe not what they want as far as enjoying of the material that they're learning, but it's what they need as far as being able to get things done. And everybody's different, though. Everyone has different needs, and that's the challenges of teaching to adult students. The other thing that we've talked about, I've mentioned, is a lot of adult student programs are offered online and have been. However, even though online classes have been a thing, been around for literally decades, people still aren't comfortable with them. And that's kind of what I gear this whole class towards, and have long before COVID. We keep talking about COVID this, COVID that. Online education has been a challenge. These same challenges have existed long before COVID. there's a huge difference between an online class that's supposed to be online, especially an online graduate class that's supposed to be online, than some of these classes that have been thrown online because of the situation. Generally, graduate classes are tailored to where you consume the information, you apply the material. I don't have never had any professors in my online in my grad program, even at Northwestern, that did any sort of lecturing or instruction in person via video. Dr. Decker or Dr. Mason did not do that. Um, and it's because at the end of the day, as a graduate student, I shouldn't have to teach you the information. You should be able to read the material, synthesize the material, and then apply it to the assignment or the discussion. And that's what online distance education is. Now, does it have to be that way? Absolutely not. Um, it really just depends on what the population wants, on what the professor is comfortable with, and what's required by the school. So that's part of the challenges with adult students. Financial considerations, I do want to touch on that because it's a little different with your traditional college age student, and I'm saying this in a very, very stereotypical way because I understand this is not the thing with everybody. Adult students generally are not going to be able to pay or have parents that can pay for their school. They didn't go through 4 years of high school applying for scholarships and working with counselors and choosing the best fit for them who's going to give them the most money. They probably have not had that guidance. So they're probably choosing whatever is cheapest, and they are most likely using federal financial aid, which you will find that adult students are a little bit, they want to know what they're paying for. They want to know why. They want to know why they have to pay for it. It's a little bit more on the line, as you guys I'm sure know. They have to look at things from a completely different way than 18. I chose Northwestern because of the cost at the age of 18. But that wasn't the only reason I chose it. I chose it because of its location and the people and all that fun stuff. But it wasn't a huge factor in my decision. Now, that's all I can think about is, holy crap, I am spending thousands of dollars on this degree, and it may or may not pay off. And it's just an added stress factor and something that you need to be aware of when working with adult students, because they're going to ask a lot more questions. Even at the grad level, I don't work with financial aid, and I don't even try to answer those questions. And I have students that will call and be like, can I make an appointment with you to talk about payment? And I just politely send them to the financial aid office. But at the end of the day, I want to say, hey, I don't really care how you pay for it. You're an adult. You're an adult. You have the internet. You can figure out how to pay for school without having someone to sit down and talk to you about it. But that's me, and I don't get paid to do it, so that's probably why I'm just grumpy. I'm going to go over just a little bit of strategies. They're not So these are actually strategies for the adult student. They're not actually even strategies yet. We'll probably get into that next time. But these are reasons why I think adult students need to come to the table and talk to administrators, talk to schools, submit ideas, because at the end of the day, they're the population that's being underserved, and they need to speak up. And these are just some reasons. This top message seems kind of rude, but I'm going to say it. Just because my situation is unique doesn't mean I am. I have found in the last 8 years, um, every adult has unique situations. Every adult has bad things happen to them. Um, at the end of the day, we can't stop operations or make exceptions because something bad happened to you. I'll make all the exceptions in the world that I can, but I can't always make exceptions. And I think adult students, at least the ones that are around now, tend to think that we should be able to just stop everything because they, had a tragedy or had something bad happen. Um, there's guidelines and rules to follow when that happens, and those need to be followed. You can't show up a year later and be like, oh well, my mom died, and I'm old and I had to take care of her, and that's why I didn't do well. Like you have to be in the moment and take care of the issues when they arise. At the end of the day, there's that phrase again. I'll have to cut that out for next time. I'm responsible for my own learning and info gathering. I am insanely surprised by the number of graduate students who have been through this process already once with a bachelor's degree who will sit and wait for people to give them information that has been on the, I mean, it's on the website. It's on the internet. Everything you need to know ever is on the internet. And if you're sitting there waiting for someone to send it to you, um, that bodes as not a good student already. Well, nobody sent me information about financial aid. Well, nobody's going to because you're an adult and we don't care how you pay for it. You need to figure that out. Adult students are here by choice. They're here to better their life. They're not here just to make mom and dad happy or to have some fun while they're trying to figure out what they want to be when they grow up. It's a little bit different. You are a student. You should be able to learn new ways to learn new things. I have students all. I think about a story. I got a letter last year. It was before the shutdown. So I think it was in 2019. I tend to just skip over last year in my mind. Um, I got a letter, and it was a handwritten letter that I could not really read, but it more or less said, please send me application materials and everything I need to know about this program. I don't have internet. I don't have a phone. Basically, please just send this to me. And unfortunately, I had to just throw it away because we don't even have paper stuff anymore. We don't keep pamphlets. We don't have paper apps. We're getting away from completely having physical student files where everything is going to be on a database. That is killing people in our office, but it's happening. But my point with that is, you have to be able to learn new things and learn new ways of doing things. That's the only way you're going to be successful in school. The reason that we throw that away is because if you can't use the internet, how are you going to use Blackboard? Even if it's an on-ground school, there's going to be Blackboard assignments, research assignments. You're going to have the internet. You're going to have a computer, and you're going to have to know how to use it. And you would be surprised at the number of people who want to come to grad school after 30 years of being out of school and think that we should just accommodate them. And that's not the case. And you wouldn't think that that's that common, but it happens probably monthly for me where someone, oh, I can't use a computer. Well, then you can't go back to school. Like, we've progressed beyond that. There are community education classes, generally offered by community colleges. Wichita State does offer some. I'm not sure about Northwestern anymore. I don't believe they did a whole lot when I was there. But so those are just and then the second bullet point, I can do my own research and look online for information and instructions. I already went all over that. Like, it's all there. Like, the number of people that call and be like, I'd like to apply for your program. How do I do that? Well, have you been to our website? Well, no. Well, it's all on the website. You do it all online. The instructions are all online. And they want someone to handhold them. And they're all education majors. Go figure. Um, anyways, one thing I've also learned with adult and graduate students is education majors are the worst. You are some, I am one. It's generally more or less K through 12 teacher education, but they are the worst. Not every single one, but for some reason they want to be handheld. They want to be told where everything is. They don't want to have to do anything for themselves. And the programs are the ones that the college programs are the ones who start that kind of culture. And I know I'm going to upset people by saying that, but that's 100% the truth. You can talk to any graduate admissions office in the United States, and that is an overwhelming common theme. And then there's also this. I fully understand I am not the only student who is pressed for time. Everyone at this level is lacking free time. Every single adult student has no free time at all. They're either working full-time, going to school full-time, or both, and or raising a family on top of that. There is no free time involved anymore. Not at this level. Especially not once you get up, past a certain age. And so these are just things that adult students need to understand at the end of the day. Like, yes, dealing with adult students is a challenge. It's a huge challenge because higher education is the slowest moving train in some ways. And it shouldn't be. It should be the springboard for technology and new ways of thinking and doing and learning things. But it still really isn't as far as most offices and departments, and the actual day-to-day functionality of the school is generally still terribly, terribly behind. And that's not adult students' fault, but these are just the challenges and some of the things that adult students can understand so that they can help colleges better serve their needs. I did not expect this to go for 30 minutes, so I thank you guys for watching. If you have any questions or you want to yell at me for insulting education majors or adult students in general, feel free to. I can definitely back up what I have to say with proof and statistics and anecdotes. But other than that, I hope you guys are enjoying the assignments and the discussion. I'm really impressed with some of the insight and the work you guys are putting in and the flow with discussion. I've noticed some of you have found some friends and you just kind of keep that going. I would urge you to continue those threads and to build those discussions and relationships, but also think about this week or next week, spring break. Think about this week or the week after, maybe reaching out and replying to somebody you don't know. That's just my suggestion. As always, if you have any questions, let me know. I'm going to start working on the next presentation. We'll kind of go over a little bit more into ways that schools can actually help adult students as opposed to these strategies in front of you that are more for adult students to help schools help them. Rangers